Good day, dear friend. This is a tad early, but then again, what's early, what's late, what's anything in this particular business that we're in? I want to talk about something very, very serious, and that is, of course, I think it's interesting because it's a very sensitive subject with me, and that's this brouhaha between Alex Jones and Owen Shroyer. It's kind of inside baseball, none of our business really. I was going to see nothing about this because I thought I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Alex could be a jerk. He could be a jerk. But I thought, wait a minute. This is something I know a little bit about. It's about how to deal with management, especially in view of media. And this is something which I know a little bit about. And I wanted to provide this opportunity to you to give my particular take and my expertise, which I know you are absolutely dying to know what it is. But before we begin, let me tell you right now a couple of things. First and foremost, I've said this before and I will say it again. What happens to you in the future and your family depends on what you do now to deal with the following. What happens when the shelves are bare? Let's get down to it. Trucks stop rolling, deliveries stop, chaos hits, there's no food. Hurricanes, wildfire strikes, blackouts, even EMPs. You can't rule anything out anymore. Imagine going a week without real food. Not snacks, not banana chips and jerky, but real food. And there's no place to go because everybody is scoured. Everything's gone. I live in New York City, and whenever it is about to snow, bread and milk get a run. I don't know why, and people get the runs too, but I don't know what it is. Bread and milk, you can't find bread and milk. That's for a couple of days. Imagine if something were sustained. That's why, my friend, I urge you to act right now. My Patriot Supplies 3-month food kit gives you 2,000 calories a day. Varieties, 22 varieties of every possible food you can imagine. Every style, every genre, so to speak, with a shelf life of up to 25 years. And today you get 4 extra weeks free at $247 value. So don't gamble with your hunger. Don't gamble with your family. Make sure you do it right now. Do the right thing. Don't wait until it's too late. Go right now to preparedwithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. Protect your family. Do the right thing. Preparewithlionel.com. Do it and join the millions who have been satisfied customers from these great people. Now, let me get down to a couple of points here. Let me say, again, make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation. I'm going to give you a couple of bits of advice here. I had a fellow years ago who, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a station manager. Great guy. Great. And he told me, he says, do you want the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment? This is when I first started to work with him. Do you believe in the First Amendment? Yeah, he says, good. Go outside. Go outside. Say whatever you want. But here, you work for us. And here, we tell you what to say. Not tell you what to say, but there's certain things we don't want you to say. You got a problem with that? Of course I knew better than that. I've worked in places, this is commercial because Alex Jones is as commercial as it gets. And you get to the point where you think, I can say whatever I want. Well, not really. Remember, if you want to say something that you want, go ahead. Go ahead. There's something called stationality. And let me also back up by saying, I think the world of Owen Shroyer, I've never met the gentleman. I think he has a lot of fire and gumption, whatever gumption is. Hell, they went to federal prison for basically nothing involving January 6th, but that's beside the point. So I like him. I've got no problem with him. But this is, I think, a lesson that we all can learn, and you can learn in life. Let me go back to what I was saying. If you're on a radio, if you're on a TV or on a station, let's say I'm on, I don't know, pick which one. Pick Judge Napolitano. And he doesn't have co-host, but let's say I was. And Judge Napolitano has been, for example, steadfast in, as an example, pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist, whatever it is. And I'm only giving this as an example. Not only him, go down the list from Tucker to everybody. All right. When I say everybody, okay. Let's say I were to go on Katie Halper's show or somebody, and all of a sudden I were to take the position that Bibi Netanyahu was 100% correct, that this Palestinian plight is overblown, they're out of their. They would tell me, "Excuse me, what are you saying? That's not my position." Well, it's my position. Are you telling me what to say? No, I'm not telling you what to say. I'm telling you what not to say. Just like if I were on the Ben Shapiro show, I think Candace Owens had that, whatever the. And again, please, I don't follow what everybody says to the letter. The point is, you can say whatever you want, Candace, or just go someplace else. Now, this may come as a shock to you. This may be something where you say, that's terrible. You can't tell people what to say. Really? You can't tell people what to say? What do you think this is? You're not going to do very well in the world of commercial TV or commercial radio or commercial anything if that's your attitude. You got to be out of your mind. You've got to be out of your mind. What do you mean you can't say what you want? You can't say anything that you want. It doesn't work like that. Let me see if I can explain this to you. You can't say whatever it is, whatever the reason is. If you want to go someplace else, if you want to have your own say, please go someplace else. Remember, you have the First Amendment over there. Let me see if I can explain this to you. Teach your kids this. Teach your kids this. This is what you have to understand. I'm going to give you a story. I think Brian understands this. He says, Owen is wrong. He is just moving on for determining his choices. Okay. He's wrong because Alex, I meant to say, isn't wrong. Well, he's wrong. It's not his show. He's dead wrong. It's not his show. And you also don't, once you've done this, go on and basically trash the guy who paid you, because if what you're doing is you're telling the rest of the world, this guy's a loose cannon. Don't work with him. Why? If you ever get this guy, if something goes wrong, he'll go on and trash you. Owen Shroyer should have gone on and said, we've had a parting of the ways. I want to take this opportunity to thank Alex Jones for giving me the opportunity to do what I've done and to do these things and to be a part of this. And I owe him forever. And we may have had a particular difference of agreement or a difference of a point, but that's what friends are. That's what friends do. Is what family does. Let me tell you something. I will be forever indebted now. What I'd like to do is announce the Owen Shroyer, blah, 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 and then talk about whatever it was. We don't want to go to the interstitial. I called him on a Monday, and then Tuesday he said this, and they called me back, and then he said, it's a family emergency, and my family called me and said, is there a family emergency? So nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this. It's like children. It's like, what are you, a little girl? I mean, it sounds. I'm like. No, you never do that. Never. Because you're saying, I like this kid. I don't know. Why? Remember the time you went on and trashed him? Oh, yes, right. I don't need that. What's the point? We don't need to know this stuff. Not only that, Alex has been through more than you and I could ever even imagine. I don't think anybody can really seriously understand what he's been through. I don't know how he's done it. I don't know how he's kept, seriously. And I don't know the backstory. Look, I have known him for years, professionally. I think we actually met physically one time, and I have said repeatedly, when all is said and done, he will be known as the paterfamilias, the number one guy, the the Beatles, the Joe Beam, the Edison, whatever, of this particular type, this, dare I say, genre of whatever you want to call this. No better. He transformed this. Now, if you want to go into stylistic stuff, we can always talk about that. Style, how would you do that? Would you have said it this way? I will never, ever understand. Look at this. Our good friend says, Farcible says, he's done it. He's done it thanks to U.S. or us. I'm not sure, but thank you for that. In terms of the subject matter, nobody's done it better. I will never understand, and I want you to hear what I have to say. I will never understand, and I wasn't there regarding this Sandy Hook stuff. I don't know any of that. I really don't know the accusations. The only thing I could ever say is that if you were to be responsible, not so much for saying that something didn't happen, I don't know if that necessarily qualifies as defamation, or because remember, he basically defaulted or was viewed as defaulted, and it became a damages case. Remember, there's liability and damages. Liability was issued or was determined almost a priori by virtue of a default, and then later on it was damages. So again, I can't say I followed every aspect of it, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Number one, better be very careful when somebody says to you that you cannot question certain historic events. You got to be very careful about that. What do I mean? Well, there are people who, as you know, believe that there was no moon landing, that it was all Kubrick or backstage or whatever it was. And without going into the merits of it's a debate that many people have had. I think Joe Rogan has talked about it. A lot of people have had good reason to think, some of this stuff doesn't make any sense. Okay, fine. Let's assume that later on, Buzz Aldrin sues you for defamation. And furthermore, the Aldrin family says people came and drove by their house and threatened them, and you say, wait a minute, hold it. I never directed anybody to do that. That may or may not have been a certain circumstance of this, but you are certainly a public figure, obviously. And if you're suing me for defamation, I'm not saying, I guess by virtue of this, I'm saying you didn't do anything. What I'm also saying is that it never happened. Freddie Haddad Jr. says, your analysis is always thought-provoking and made me question my assumptions, so thanks for hanging in there with us. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, sir. But let me go back to this, and that makes sense. How many times have you and I said that something didn't happen? How many times have we said that? Think about it. Vietnam didn't happen that way. Watergate didn't happen that way. This didn't happen that way. 9/11 didn't happen that way. 9/11 didn't happen that way. 9/11 is nonsense. And you were to say something the World Trade Center was. And somebody from the World Trade Center family says, are you telling me that my family member wasn't killed? Are you telling me that what my claim was wrong? If Rudy Giuliani said, you mean to tell me that you're saying that I never, whatever it was, and you respond, no, I'm not telling you anything about you. I'm telling you this event. Every event has a lot of moving parts to it. Every event has somebody. Epstein. I don't think Epstein. Are you telling me that those people were not abused by Epstein? Is that what you're saying? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that. So somebody comes up and says, "Oh, I guess my abuse never happened, huh? Are you calling me crazy? Is that what you're doing?" And then you're saying to these people, "Wait a minute. Hold it. I'm not saying anything about this. I'm not talking about you. Do you see where this goes? Do you see where this goes? I mean, that's dangerous stuff. Dangerous. And now, if ever you can prove that somebody, I was watching an interview with this Taylor Lorenz. That's fascinating, is it not? About how what's his name? Forgive me. I just did overnights, and I'm a little shingad. You know that dude? What's his name? The Democratic, the lefty fellow who was accused of basically taking dark money. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Taylor Lorenz said that some of the stuff that she did, the problems or the suggestions that Tucker Carlson leveled against her and her family was such that her family were doxxed and all this other kind of stuff. It's pretty serious stuff. Okay, that, unfortunately, that's a problem. So let me make sure we understand this. Let me make sure we get this story straight. Alex, the problem that I have with any kind of lawsuits against him is that I get very scared when people say that we're going to use, in essence, a version of lawfare to fight back for you challenging an event which we told you took place. Does that make sense? You understand that? So, that notwithstanding, I don't know what Alex has to do with President Trump. He's accusing Owen of being black-pilled. Okay. Alex may have a variety of things up his sleeve. He may need, down the line, pardons. I don't know. But he doesn't have to explain this to you. If I went on Joe Rogan, and I'm doing a show with Joe Rogan, and I'm his co-host, or I do a Joe Rogan segment, and I say, UFC's bullshit, this isn't real, these are phonies. And Joe Rogan tells me, excuse me, what are you saying? Do you know who I am? I'm Mr. UFC. Dana White's my best friend. What are you doing? Give you my opinion. The hell with your opinion. I don't want to hear your opinion. Don't say that. Are you telling me what to say? No, I'm telling you what you can't say. And we don't say this. I quit then. I quit then. Well, quit. What do you think this is? Pick the hill you want to die on. I'm running the show. I'm the boss. And this is the bottom line, which I want people to understand. If you think, Owen, life is fair, or if you think you're entitled to anything, when somebody else their name's on the line, no. Now, maybe it should be that way. Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be. There are so many things you can say in terms of, and let's call it, it's not radio, but the analogs are pretty much there, commercial radio. There are so many clauses in your contracts regarding, subterfuge, moral turpitude, you do something that causes embarrassment, whatever the story is. But this is what I want people to understand. This is the thing which is the most critical. And we need to tell our kids this. You have to understand something. And I want to give you this story. I've told you this before, but I'm going to say it again. One of the best pieces of advice, a judge gave me this. It's a story, okay? And it's a story of a mayor of a town goes into a restaurant, brings some friends, and he's the mayor. He's a big shot. People, hey, waving him. And he sits down, and they bring the bread, but there's no butter. And he sees this busboy. He says, excuse me, young man, could you would you be so kind as to bring the butter? And the kid says, I'm busy. And he takes off. The mayor says, well, maybe I caught him in a bad moment. Maybe he doesn't know who I am. Maybe he doesn't know. Excuse me, young man, the butter, could you give me a butter? And the kid says, are you deaf? Did you hear what I said? I said, I'm busy. Now the mayor has to do something. He cannot be treated like this, subject to this kind of an affront. So he stands up and towers over this kid and says, young man, do you know who I am? I'm the mayor. And the kid says, you know who I am? I'm in charge of the butter. That's what life is. Owen, he's in charge of the butter. He's in charge of the butter. You don't have a say. There is no say. There's none. This isn't a democracy. It doesn't work like that. Maybe it should, maybe not. What do I know? I cannot tell you. Sometimes there are places where you work for people and some are good. Some are just jerks. Some are power hungry. Oh my God, they don't know what they're talking about. Others are very good. You've got to know how to take not criticism, but direction. You've got to. If somebody tells you something, you have to. You should listen to them. The best thing to do, I've always said in the old days, is you follow what they do. But if ever you want to acknowledge what somebody's saying and you don't want to say yes or no, you say, "Oh, interesting." But the thing is, if they're paying you, and if it's not, I guarantee you, there is nothing that you are saying that cannot be tweaked enough unless you believe. If you're on the George, what the hell? I am so fried. I am so fried. Anyway, if you're in some anti-Israel show, who was the guy with the Scottish guy with a hat? I've been on his show. I don't think he wants me to be on his show anymore because I think he thinks maybe I'm some contrary to the way he thinks, or maybe I'm not Israel enough, or I don't know what the story is. George, what's his name? Galloway. Galloway, yeah. Honey, I'm so fried, it's not even funny. We got a new coffee maker yesterday, which is another story. But if I'm on the George Galloway show, and it's very, very, or if I'm on with Roger, John with Roger Waters, and I say, I think BB's got a hell of a point. I gave you this before as an example. They would sit there and they would, okay, it's not that I'm right, I'm wrong, he's right or wrong. It's their show. And it's contrary. If I'm on a country music station and I play rap, or vice versa, it doesn't matter. If you're on the Charlemagne the God show and you talk about how rap music and black morning shows are stupid, and it's your opinion, well, it may not get you arrested, but the bottom line is simply this. It's their show. And you got to pick the hill you want to die on. And especially when they've told you, don't bring it up. And I got to tell you what the biggest problem is. When you go out in the world and you air your dirty laundry and you tell people, look what I've done. Look, this is what happened. Let me give you my side of the story. Now, let me explain something to you. Again, can you imagine what it has been like, say what you want, to be Alex Jones? Think about it. Say whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Whatever you think about it. What do you think that's like? I don't know what's going on in his personal life. I have no earthly idea. I really don't know. But I'm sure everything carries over. I know we had remember when his young son was on? This kid was like a genius. I think I saw his name back. Anyway. And I know we had problems with David Knight, whom I like quite a bit. that's something. Again, I'm not privy to any of that. I'm just an outsider like you. But can you imagine what that's like? When you got when you've got what, a billion whatever plus dollar multi-billion billion, come on. And when you're waiting for the sheriff to seize your property at any moment, and you've got to go to bankruptcy court. I mean, honestly, do you have any idea what this is like? You don't need pressure like this. And for him to do this show, his show, and by the way, this goes for all of the team, that amount of time, I mean, there's like no commercial. That's a real talent to be able to do that and to be able to hold that fire and hold that focus. It's one of the most difficult things in the world. And so many little things can affect you. If you're doing a show with people in your team and they look like they're bored or oh dear God, it can affect you. If you're with a team that is powerful and loves what you do, it's buoyant, it's fun, and that can be a problem. All I'm saying is that there's nothing that forces you to do that job. Consequently, when you're there, you got to follow it. It's called stationality, which is stupid. It's like Westernality, but it's stationality. It's the thing that you commit to. And if he says, listen, you act like you're black pilled, like you're too anti-Trump or whatever it is, I don't want you to do that. We don't do that. Nick Fuentes, who was on, let me explain something to you. I have the ability, maybe you do too, to take somebody and to separate what they say. I like this, I don't like this, but overall the talent's there. It's like when you get an album. I love Steely Dan, but some of the songs on Can't Buy a Thrill suck. Okay? Life's like that. Give you an example. There are some really good people out there, and two of the wildest that are absolutely antithetical are Nick Fuentes and Laura Loomer. Completely different. But in terms of raw talent, unbelievable. Ribald, rebarbative, contumacious in a good way. Nick Fuentes, forget what he says, just in terms of raw talent, to be that young, incredible. He's very explicative. He can expatiate and limn with the best of them. He's really good. Laura Loomer, scary. Scary in what she's like, indefatigable. Now, I can go through a list of things they've said. Either I don't agree with or wouldn't say it that way. I wouldn't. That's not the point. There are people I agree with 100%. I never think they should be on radio. But there are people who have these things. I told you this before about Candace Owens. It's their thing. Candace Owens, I think, is going to have some real serious problems with that Macron thing. I told you that. A lot of people do. And whether you like her or not, that doesn't really matter. But if I went on her show and I'm on the Candace Owens network and I'm saying, I think anybody who says that Brigitte Macron's a man should be, arrested. I could just say, excuse me, are you saying I should be arrested? Candace, it's just my opinion. Excuse me, it's just my show. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean? You see how this works? I don't know why this is so difficult for people to understand. When you veer away, let me give you another one too. While we're on the subject, listen to what I'm saying. Kind of different. The Epstein case, while we're on the subject, is so up. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I cannot believe. Did you see Gloria Allred? And Bloom's in there too? They're like vultures. I know lawyers. I know what you're going to say. I want to change the subject but not really. I want you to understand something because I want you to be smart and be able to go out and talk to your friends about this. Number one, what I would do is I would say to Alex or whoever it was, I'm going to go on and I'm going to torch the DOJ, Pam Bondi, who I like personally, Kash Patel and the whole bit. Remember, you may like them personally, but their job is listen to what I'm saying. Are you listening? I'm telling you this all the time. If you wanted to release anything involving the investigation of Epstein, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel could have done it like that. They could have given you 24 boxes. This is everything we have. Every interview, every 302, every interview, every picture, every diagram, from the guy who mows the lawn to the pool boy to you name it. Everything. I got everything in there. You understand this? Everything. That's it. And you will find that President Trump, his name is in there along with Ethel Kennedy and Stephen Hawking or whoever it is, but he is not listed in this by anyone as a perpetrator, an assailant, a predator. You got it? Somebody was saying, but his name is in the list. His name, so is Ethel Kennedy. It doesn't mean he did anything. It means his name. Anyway, people are so stupid the way they don't finish the sentence. His name is in there for what? Manuel, the pool boy, he's in there too. I just gave a name. Okay? So if you have a problem with ask Pam Bondi, why don't you release this? Second one, 5 years from now, a year from now, let's say there's something similar to the Epstein case, and somebody says, did you call the police? And somebody says, oh, hell no. You didn't report your daughter or somebody? I said, oh, no, I didn't do that. Why? Because the Epstein case taught me that if you give your name, if you call up confidentially, if your daughter or son is a minor, and you provide this information, later on, they will expose you. They will release this information because somebody will call for it. And the poor guy who is the lawn boy or the pool boy or some landscaper who says, please don't mention my name because my family is, vulnerable. And maybe the cartels may hear that I work there and just don't mention my name. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you. Why? Because my name is going to be in the list which you could release. See, with the grand jury is always kept secret. Grand jury is one portion of it, but the information beforehand is in the possession of the DOJ. You can't release that. What if there were people who happened to be mentioned who had nothing to do with any of this? I mean, if they're mentioning President Trump, what if somebody's name, the pilot? Do you think the pilot should be? Anyway, this story's going, it's nuts. It's lost all connection to reality. All connection to reality. And what I'm telling you is that that's the story you're missing. Now, if I have a radio station or a InfoWars or whatever, and I say that's what I'm saying, and you decide and you say that anybody who asks for this information, whatever, it fits contrary to me, or if you keep insisting that somehow Trump was involved in something, when I said for the 5th time his name is in the list, maybe, but not as a, okay. This case is going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Nowhere. And look at the vultures. They're just spinning. And there's one particular file, there's one particular fact, there's one particular instance, which I guarantee you Pam Bondi's not going to be mentioning, and that is whatever happened to Virginia Giuffre. What happened to her? I don't know. Was it self-harm? Was it pharmacide? I don't know. But we need somebody to ask these questions. We need somebody to figure these things out. Okay? So what I'm telling you is this. So going back to the Alex Jones case, everybody who's on TV today, everybody, TV, platforms, owes it to Alex Jones. He was the first one. He was the first one to do what he did, to teach us that there is this alternative world out there that has nothing to do with the news that we thought existed. Globalists. I didn't know what the hell a globalist was first time I heard it. Rush Limbaugh told me what the conservatives were. I knew there was a conservative, but I didn't know exactly who these people were or what they were about. Rush made it very clear. Rush made it exceedingly clear. Okay, fine. Rush, nobody did. There may not be what we're doing today without Rush Limbaugh. Whereas without Howard Stern, you would notice no difference. He was just a kind of a raunchy guy, and maybe provided an example of how far you could go theoretically. But Rush was commercial. But prior to that is Alex. Absolutely. And how he's had to, and he has been called a nut and a lunatic, and he's crazy, and he's a conspiracy theorist. They use these words, and they still do. It's as though that's supposed to negate, that is supposed to disqualify you. So let me just leave it at this. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Owen Shroyer is a young man, smart, very talented, but you're wrong. Unless you've got just some hard on for Alex and you just want to be, okay, fine. But that's not the way to do it. And anybody who's thinking about hiring you for some other venture, they would probably say, this guy's trouble. He's going to do this to us. He's proven himself. Whatever he did, he can't handle the rules. Believe it or not, everything. Listen, if you don't think following the rules is tough, listen to anybody do a YouTube channel. The way they've got to talk in code. My good friend Sean Atwood has to say PDF file because he can't. You can't use the S word if they refer to self-harm, and so you better deal with the fact that there are these limitations that somebody came up with, and you have one of two choices. You can either go along with it, or you can say, that's it. In any event, that's that. That's that. So, my friends, I thank you so much. So, thank you for your thoughts and your comment, for being with us as well. Make sure you follow us at Lionel Nation. Make sure you are subscribed, Lionel Nation. And don't forget, I'm telling you, my friends, I'm saying this again. I've been reading more and more, thinking more about EMPs. If somebody ever takes our, or if it goes out just because of power or grid problems, but if we lose a grid, if we lost, and there was any kind of, let's say, Wi-Fi, there was any kind of disruption in order, I guarantee you, there would be mandatory rules closing stores and the like because of insurance policies and considerations. And that's why preparewithlionel.com is what you've got to do. Just go and see for yourself the state of the art of disaster preparedness. All right? Okay. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow Lynn's Warriors. You can't believe what she is saying and what is going on. You cannot believe and how critical it is and how she has to get the word out. And you are following her means the world to us, because every time she puts out any kind of video, they say, it's not monetized. It's like, but you're not saying any. It's you don't understand it. I don't, especially when it deals with digital safety. Could be a fluke. Maybe we don't know. But your direct help is always appreciated. So go to Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Sign up. Follow her right away. She's also Lynn's Warriors on X, as it were. All right, my friends. Have a great and a glorious day. I hope you don't mind. I kind of like this particular time. It's about 6:30 in the morning on Thursday, the 4th of September. A day I'll always remember. Anyway, thank you, my friends. Have a great and a glorious day. Be good. Be great. By the way, good news, we got our new coffee maker. Ours blew up. I can't believe it. It was a Keurig. I think they're just self-destructive, this planned obsolescence. There's no reason why you should just blow up. Just stop. Just stop. Remember the Mr. Coffee? Remember a percolator? A percolator? Those are going to go back one day. You watch. Somebody somewhere is going to say, hey, that's cool again. Kind of like vinyl, theoretically. All right, my friends. Have a great and glorious day. So good to see you. Pray for Alex Jones if you pray. He's got a lot on his plate. And I still think he is still the best. He opened the door for everybody. Period. You got it? All right, my friends. See you then. Talk to you later. Don't forget the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you. Da-da.